Welcome to another cultural podcast. Good night. I am Henrique Coelho, and tonight we're talking about the American cultural imperialism. Before everything, we need to first define what cultural imperialism is. Cultural imperialism is when a big and powerful country such as the USA or England imposes its culture over a less powerful one, like for example Brazil or Mexico. This phenomenon can be very detrimental to the culture that has less power, that many times is seen as less important, therefore being sometimes some aspects forgotten and replaced through time. But why are we going to talk about the USA? Well, since 1800, the United States of America began to extend his influence and power out of his own territory. They believed that their influence would spread democracy, freedom, and prosperity to the other less developed countries. But the beginning of the real American influence that we can see nowadays started just before the First World War, when the USA became the world's largest economy, and this influence got stronger after the Second World War. Concluding, the USA was chosen to this podcast due to the big cultural power it imposes around the world. One of the most important ways that the US expand their culture is by the television, the cinematographic industry, for example Hollywood, and nowadays through social medias like Instagram and Facebook. Through this means, the United States exposes the routine, the American way of life, and therefore also proliferating their culture. A huge sign of their imperialism over the world is the Coca-Cola company. Considering that there are just two countries in the world who don't sell Coca-Cola, that they are Cuba and North Korea, it might be the most internationalized company in the world. Through this product, we can see, looking at our own history, that it is so deep in it that even though the drink is an American product, it starts making part of our own national culture. This happens not just with the soda, but also with many other products like hamburgers, hot dogs, and also restaurants such as McDonald's or Pizza Hut that are from the American culture that starts to make part of our own culture. Not only this, but also the English language plays an important role in the dissemination of the American culture. Through this tool, the American expressions and terms get into the other languages and start making part of them. For example, the words fitness and download that are used naturally all over the globe, independently of the language. These American features that we can see in our society offer mostly negative points for it. Through the implementation of the big American restaurants that many times occupy the space of the national ones, the local culture is replaced by the big American culture. This situation can also be seen in other sections like with the clothing, technology, and music industry. By analyzing our radios, we can see how the American music is implemented and many times stealing the place of the national music, therefore showing in a nutshell what American imperialism is. This phenomenon can also affect directly on the future academics of the less developed countries. Due to the image that the American had sold mostly through television, the good academic students will go to the USA to study. This effect is called brain drain, and is happening in Brazil right now, where the most prepared are escaping from their land in search of better life prospects, therefore initiating an endless cycle. These students are usually attracted to the exciting American way of life that the movies passes, and also the American dream image. Despite the many negative aspects that the American culture imperialism has, together with it, jobs could be created and also it could bring prosperity and development if well managed. A good example of a good balance between the American culture and the preservation of the national culture is Germany, where they managed to include the American influence without destroying their own identity and culture. And by doing this, Germany has become Europe's most powerful country, overcoming some giants like France and England. Because of this podcast, I started to pay more attention about how we don't appreciate our own culture. And I expect to make you think a little bit more about these issues. Why don't we help our own country? Thank you all for the attention, and until the next cultural podcast from Henrique Coelho.